you know, they talk about the twins being a split consciousness, but what if they're parts of Mother Aniseya and she was
reabsorbing?
Yeah, they're Horcruxes. She was reabsorbing, you know, Mae at that point, you know, to protect her or get more powerful, and then she would need to get Osha.
We'll never know.
That would have been cool.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
Welcome back to the after show here on the break room. We finally learned what really happened on Brendock, or did we?
Dun dun dun.
And what's so cool about Coruscant anyway?
Or Coruscant, as some people say in the show. Didn't he call it Coruscant?
I feel like I can never pronounce the name of the show.
Coruscant.
Or the planet. Coruscant.
It's like
Coruscant.
Leia,
Corsicant.
whatever works.
Han.
Coruscant.
Falcon.
Coruscant.
Croissant.
Croissant.
Who knows?
This whole time it's croissant?
It's croissant. Hit that graphic.
The after show. The after show. The after show. The after show.
I always try to like sing
The
each
after
song
show. The
fast enough. I
Acolyte.
can't. Nice.
That's right, folks. Today we're talking about The Acolyte, Episode 7, Choice. What was Mother Aniseya trying to do when she turned into dust? And could the significance of Osha and Mae being a split consciousness come up at some point in the future? I don't know. We'll get into that. We got one more episode to find out. We'll get into that and more. I'm Brandon Barrick, and joining me today, she knows better than to insult a Wookiee's cooking. It's Maude Garrett.
I would never.
You would never.
If a Wookiee's cookies, you gotta eat.
Do you think they were eating an animal from that planet?
It was a leg, wasn't it?
It looked like
They called it
It was
I'm
avian.
sick of eating these something starting with A.
Nava legs?
Nava legs?
Nuba.
legs.
Are they allowed to just like go to another planet and start eating the animals?
Well, didn't
Maybe they brought it
Chewie
from
already
home.
cooked some porgs up.
Well,
some porgs.
hey,
Someone gave
hey.
Chewie
Chewie can do whatever he wants. Chewie was not a representative of the Jedi Order. He was a military commander at that point.
They
but
do not think that Brendock had any life form whatsoever, so the audacity of
to
that
start
planet-
eating it.
There's
that was wild,
life,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, wait, I'm still in the intros, folks.
Sorry.
How did I allow this to happen?
Sorry, Brandon. Sorry.
Also joining us today, he would never let a coven of witches into his mind. It's a steel trap, folks. It's Tom Michelsen.
No, because my mind's fortified. No, stay out of
Don't
my
let him
head.
into my mind. Hey, that's
Meditate for the rest of your life.
Yeah, sounds good.
talking about failing upwards. They made that mofo a master. That little creep became a master.
Oh my
Torbin?
gosh,
Yes,
his
that's
fighting
right.
Style?
He
Him
was
and-
Master Torbin.
I want to see him and Hayden Christensen just
He-
get on.
dude,
my
that guy
God.
was like-
days.
Beautiful stuff.
That guy was like, I was in drill
Even
team,
our
okay?
favorite
Check it out. Woo, 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 woo,
Kiani
woo, woo, woo.
Mundi couldn't deflect all those
Whoa,
ones, but he was
baby.
blocking all those arrows.
Ooh,
Oh,
baby, that was some
days.
twirling.
Wow.
Do you think
Tom
that
and
was the
Torbin.
actor? They were like, he took his own lessons.
Oh, yeah.
And he showed up on set, like Tom Michelsen, and he was like, look what I've been working on at home, folks.
No, he was the only one who didn't have any training, and he was
Yeah,
supposed
yeah.
to just go like this, and then they're like,
Yeah,
action! And he's doing the most, and they're just like, oh,
They're like,
Jesus.
oh
my
Yeah,
God.
just let,
You just cost us 20 grand in rotoscoping, dude. Okay?
that would be me. If Kathleen Kennedy hires me, that would be me 1,000%.
Good on
For
him,
sure,
though. That's
for
something
sure.
I liked about the show.
All right. See how excited we are to talk about
Yeah,
it?
let's
Maude,
do
kick
it.
us off with a recap.
I would love to. Let's go. Recap.
Let's go.
So we go to Brendock 16 years ago, where Indara, Kelnacca, Sol, and Torbin have been on the planet for 7 weeks. I'm bored.
I'm
wanna go
bored of
home.
looking at plants. Put the plant in the box. Box beeps. Move on.
It's not even metal. They're searching for the previously lifeless planet for signs of a vergence. Now, the fact that they're only bringing up vergence, which is supposed to be significant in episode 7 out of 8, beyond me. But here we are.
It's important.
Is it? Because if it was, you would have mentioned it earlier.
It's secrets.
No, you
Maude.
gotta save
Secrets.
surprises.
Secrets.
Anyway, this is explaining why this planet, Brendock, is now thriving with wildlife that they're eating.
Yes, eat those yorbas.
Indara, love having her back.
Yes.
Such a great character. Ugh. Like, that was a good ugh. That was like, ugh.
Yeah,
My
so
God.
good.
God,
It's like you shake your head, it's
Yeah,
so good.
that's
So good.
She's fantastic.
we'll classify that as a good ugh.
Fantastic in this episode. But Indara defines a vergence as a concentration of force energy centered around a location, and it could create life.
Ooh.
So this kind of force blossoms life.
Sexy.
And we've kind of seen something like this on Tatooine.
Yes. The big V word was used before in the Phantom Menace.
I'm sorry, could we call it an M count and not midichlorian?
Yeah, they keep going M count. Yeah.
I like an M count.
Let's just retcon what's already canon.
What do you? Wait. You're saying that language doesn't change over 100 years?
Okay.
Come on.
But like,
come on.
M count. Anyway, whatever. Torbin wants to stop eating these Nuna legs and just go home.
Not even his real home. He wasn't born there.
Yeah, right. Which they
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 said it in his
actually
mind.
said it.
Evan didn't watch the episode.
We found out.
Busted.
No, when
Could we
Mother
clarify?
Aniseya's in his brain, she's like, "You were just a pauper's son
Yeah.
from blobbity blah.
You're just a little poor boy from
poor
blah,
boy.
blah, blah.
You're just a poor boy. Nobody loves you."
He was just a poor boy from a poor family. Now he's a Jedi building up his witches.
Anyway, Sol later discovers Osha and Mae. What? No one's supposed to be on this planet, but there's two girls just playing around.
I'm creeping on these little girls on this planet.
yeah.
Dude, I actually had in my notes, a subtle Sol be sneaking. Like, he's just
In any other situation, him like looking at them behind the tree, I'm like, ooh, man.
I like your little song, you girls.
So he sneakily follows them back to the Coven, even seeing Mother Aniseya pushing Osha down with the Force. He alerts Indara, the term Force cult, Night Sisters. Oh, that's right. Yeah, the Night Sisters gets thrown around.
Yeah.
And that's
Which
Torbin
is-
saying it. Oh, they're the Night Sisters. And I was like, they know about it. This is in their training.
said the
Night
thing,
Sisters is
yeah.
canon. But Indara's like, Night Sisters don't raise younglings or have children. So this is different now. It's different. Anyway, yeah, tell that to Darth Maul.
Well, it's like, I think it's kind of saying like the Jedi don't really know what the Night Sisters do because it's like a secret organization.
But Torbin, the youngest Padawan, knows about it, so it's obviously
Right, but like it's in their books, right? Because they're like, listen, no one else can use the Force. We can't allow any of
why
this stuff.
not just make them Night Sisters with access to a virgin?
I think that's an interesting question that we'll circle back to.
I'm just seeing a lot of, this, so we're gonna make it this.
Right.
Same, but absolutely different.
I'm
You're
ready to
like,
have that conversation.
Okay. Thank you.
In this episode.
Thank you.
I think we should have that conversation.
All right, Tom, over to you.
Well, we will as soon as we talk about what happens more in episode 3 from the Jedi's perspective. They break into the witch's home, an old mining site, and Mother Aniseya is attempting to manipulate Torbin. That's when she tells him about where he's really from, Evan. And if you keep
That
watching
was
this
a-
up.
Evan was
Yeah.
scrolling.
That was a beautiful moment, and this is the most sort of like Sith-like thing that we've seen.
And I like seeing that as like his perspective. It was like a whole conversation he was having.
the whole time, and you
And
realize
like he
how-
doesn't even know he's being. At first, I think he doesn't realize what's happening, and
But like
yeah.
that surrounding the echoes.
And
the,
she's
like,
having that
right.
conversation
And breaking
while
them
still
down.
talking to the
Yeah,
Jedi in
yeah.
real time.
Honestly, I will say
Very
that Indara and Mother Aniseya are standout
Yeah.
characters
Oh,
in
for
this
sure.
Yeah,
episode.
for sure.
Jodie Turner-Smith's acting is
Oh,
so
right.
fantastic. I love having her back.
She
Right.
has that whole A-list cast.
But I
all
will. But I will say,
around.
for
Twins.
for Torbin to kind of be seen like this, and she's using the lure of what he wants. You want to go home? That,
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
make that happen for you.
Yeah.
So I wish there was a little bit more of like a seeping or something that's like really getting into his head. You
Yeah.
kind of see him slip a little bit, and we'll talk about that. But I just wanted what happened to him and the consequence of the rest of his life make sense and be weighted.
Right,
Right,
That's all.
right. At the same time, Mae telling the Jedi Order that the test that everyone must be sacrificed to fulfill their destiny. Yikes. We find out the council said no to bringing the twins to Coruscant. Torbin gets the blood results of the twins, revealing the high midichlorian or M count.
Thank you.
And that they're very force sensitive, but that their symbionts are the exact same. So even if they were twins like Luke and Leia, they would be different. So this implies that they're artificially created with a consciousness split into two. Light side, dark side, maybe?
Oh, duality.
Duality?
Or are they absolutely identical? Which makes me think, why not raise one in the Witch Coven and raise one as a Jedi and see
Right.
what happens?
See what
Maybe
happens,
that was
play
Mother
around.
Aniseya's secret plan? Oh, I
okay.
like that. Maybe. Well, only a vergence in the Force could do this, which is what Torbin needs to get home. It's been 7 weeks, damn it. He speeds off to get the girls, and Sol chases after her. But a bad choice sends Sol in to help break them out, even though he was supposed to stop them. right? And Dara says, "Go, stop Torbin." And they get there, and he's like, "Follow me. I know how to climb the
Well,
walls."
Sol breaks into their minds and is like, "Oh, they're doing
Yeah.
stuff to the girls. We got to get inside."
I will say
Yeah.
there's a little inconsistency with Sol here. He gets really
Yeah.
attached to Osha.
Sure.
I believe that we have a connection. I
Mm-hmm.
need to be her master. She's destined to be my Padawan. And I kind of see that he makes blind decisions.
Yeah, I like
there.
that.
That would be better if when Mae comes down and he's like, Osha! And it's like, what kind of connection were you having?
Yeah,
Well,
he
I
did not
think-
even know that was her. Yeah.
But I think that kind of plays to their uniqueness in that, like, the fact that they are a split consciousness is not that they're identical twins, it's that they are the same person that has been
Maybe they
schismed into
feel
two.
the same in the
and,
Force.
Except-
and Sol is unable to tell which one, like, even through feeling, he can't
Except in both the almost identical flashbacks that we get, you are seeing vastly different girls with vastly different beliefs and desires.
Or this is showing how flawed Saul really is, where he thinks he has this connection.
Sure.
He thinks but he really doesn't.
He is younger, and I do like that now that we're just seeing him as a Jedi Knight without a Padawan. This is kind of similar to sort of Yord, where it's like quick to make decisions, quick to be like, tunnel vision with something. I do like that we see sort of Sol earlier and the growth that he's had. A couple of things just don't really make sense.
Right, I agree.
Yep.
We finally see what happened on that fateful night on Brendock. From Mae's perspective and like the Jedi's perspective, Mother Coral gets Mae all amped up to lock Osha inside and fight the Jedi, and Mae starts the fire by accident.
I do have
Dun,
a
dun,
question
dun.
with this.
Uh-huh.
Do you think it was clear enough with the flashbacks that it was from the witch's point of view or the girl's point of view and then the Jedi point of view? Or I would have preferred it just from the lens of one person's point of view.
Yeah, it is kind of messy because it is jumping between like Mae and the Jedi and like what they're each experiencing. And I'm still specious of this fire that like it starts in the room, but then like when we see the explosions, we've panned out to see the whole structure, and we don't really know where the room is.
That's what I was
and there's
thinking,
like multiple explosions going on, and like I think you could explain that, this is an old mining facility, and one line of like,
That's
there's
it.
gas seeping around everywhere. It would be
it's
helpful.
an electrical fire.
I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
like to go back through this episode and place a single line of dialogue that would absolutely stitch
Right.
this episode better and provide information.
Because there's still a lot of unanswered
I have
questions.
a couple lines like that, but yeah.
Yeah.
There's some unanswered questions for sure.
Also, another inconsistency during the test that they do, we obviously know that Mae was fudging her
Right.
completely. But then you cut to Osha saying something. Now, from her perspective, she was saying something different on the screen.
Right.
Watching this episode, the last thing that she said, which I believe was planet or spaceship, was the correct image on Sol's screen.
Uh-huh.
So who's lying, and why in this stage, episode 7 out of 8, would they provide that level of inconsistency without it meaning something?
I also thought it was interesting that in Mae's test, she was adamant in that one version of like, you gotta lie, yeah, we gotta stay here. And then when she's like, so tell me about your mark. Okay, so it's called the Ascension, and my mom this, and she told them the whole story.
By
And I
the
was
way,
like,
we're
wait,
all
what?
supposed to get sacrificed.
Yeah, and
but
we're all
like,
gonna get sacrificed. So that's
Sacrifice is the
interesting.
wrong
that-
word to use.
Yeah, it was interesting that she's like, just say the opposite, whatever's in your heart. She's like, okay, mom, no problem. I'm gonna lie, and I got this. And then it ended up not being. But again, we're seeing different perspectives, so who knows?
That's why you can never trust children. Never trust them.
And again, this would make more sense where if it was Sol's point of view and he's
Yeah,
hearing Mae
Oh, yeah.
say, we're getting sacrificed, that's his driving force. But because it's just from the Jedi and it's not a clear perspective with bias, we
Right.
don't know.
Yeah.
Because it's from a third person point of view instead of a first person. So that's like, again, if they just chose Sol, it would have been great to drive his arc more.
Yeah, tough.
Yeah.
Well, Torbin and Sol, they confront Mother Coral, but when Mae runs out asking for help, Sol thinks it's Osha. Torbin and Coral jump into action, but it's Sol who kills Aniseya, who reveals she was gonna let Osha go. Thanks for killing me, dude.
Here's the line of dialogue I would have liked.
Uh-huh.
She's starting to go into her mist crow form.
Right.
Sees that Mae is also starting to dissipate.
Uh-huh.
Thinks that means she's going forever or being transported
Right,
somewhere,
right,
doesn't know. Let her go. She doesn't stop. He kills her. I think that moment happened a bit too fast. It was a bit
Yeah.
confusing.
Oh,
we didn't
yeah,
have
yeah.
enough
He reacts.
information. All I needed was a let her go. Because that's his motive, and then explains his action crystal
Because
clear.
yeah, he doesn't know if she's
He has
killing her
no
or
idea what this power
teleporting
is.
her away.
We
or
don't know
He
what
thinks
this
it's
power is.
Osha,
Right,
and he
right.
thinks he's she's taking Osha.
Right, he thinks
or
that he's
something
hurting
like
her.
No, that's an assumption.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
that's what I mean. That's what he
actually
is.
know.
Yeah.
So Coral decides that, he's like,
No, she's
pissed.
in her game on.
She's justified.
Coral's gone to Mae. Let your anger flow through.
Yeah.
Let that hate
Coral's
flow
like,
through you.
you've just killed my missus. Like, it is on. I like that moment. I think her motives are justified.
And Sol feels bad.
man.
He's like, he's not trying to fight Coral. He's doing his
No,
moves.
that's
I'm not
really
gonna fight
cool as
you.
well.
Yeah.
Fight me!
Torbin's like, yo, I've been practicing. Dude.
Yeah.
Wait till you see what I
have
can
no
do.
problem fighting.
Hit the music. Hit the music, John Williams. Where's my theme? Where's my theme? They're shooting like 2 arrows, and this guy's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Come on, ladies.
Padawan.
I'm gonna go home.
Yeah.
He's spinning his
I wanna let these
lightsaber.
arrows
He's
keep
like,
me from
this is gonna
going
look
home."
so good on the hollow net, dude. I'm gonna be a fucking hero, baby. They're gonna give me awards. I'm gonna cut this little braid off. I'm gonna be a master. It's gonna be awesome. He's spinning his lightsaber. He's deflecting the arrows from the other witches. The mine starts blowing up, I guess, from the fire that Mae caused.
So this is a good place. Sorry to keep interjecting.
No,
but
it's
like
okay.
this is how it could have been better. If the vergence, if the
Sure.
sum of the vergence is here, which intrinsically creates life.
Or that
fire
giant
comes into
generator
it.
thing that they never explained
That-
what it did.
that would
If
be
that
good.
could have
That
caught
would
on
be
fire. I don't
Either
know.
or,
Yeah.
like that, just make it. make sense.
Whatever's going on, I like this moment a lot. The witches are like, you shouldn't have brought this guy, and they're like, what guy?
Yeah.
The Wookiee.
Love this.
They
moment.
possess
So
the
cool.
Wookiee. They're all like chanting together. They're on the local area network. They've taken over
The Wi-Fi bands.
Oh
are
man,
strong.
they have totally DDoS attacked
Oh,
Kelnacca.
100%.
He can't handle it.
I will
been-
say that
yeah.
we've wanted this the whole show.
Yeah.
Yes.
We know that Kelnacca is a Wookiee
Yeah.
Jedi. We want to see
When
this
we
in
saw
action.
him already dead, I was like, this was the biggest waste, and that
Yeah.
was me. I shouldn't have judged too early, because thank God they brought us.
Torbin puts up a good fight, and I'm a little annoyed at his cool little move to hold
That
back
was
the
fun.
lightsaber.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be
He's like,
strong enough to do that.
Well,
He should have gotten his face
Jackie-
slashed, and it should have been Sol and Kelnacca just fighting
Jackie
off.
held her own against Chimera for a while.
Yeah,
ago,
yeah.
So these
Yeah.
Padawan are really trained up.
Sure.
What would have made this better
Uh-huh.
is if we didn't know the outcome of the fight.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
think it took a lot of the tension out because we
Yeah.
know
We know that they
Kelnacca
all survived.
No,
this.
Torbin
Corbin got his
survived,
scar. Sol lived. Indara lived. Like that took a lot of the weight out of it. Yes, Evan.
Indara.
What did I say?
Inara.
Inara.
okay.
My bad.
It's just the internet; they're not gonna care.
No, they do.
They do.
They do every time.
Oh, she's talking about the Jedi and Nara. You
Sorry.
guys don't know about
Oh
it?
yeah,
Dara.
wait,
Universe?
you guys are fans? You don't know Indara? Come on.
Sorry, just missing the D. The life of a Jedi.
Aren't we all?
Yeah,
Aren't we all?
I think to your point about not knowing the outcome, I think what's interesting is like in that moment though, when they're possessing Kelnacca, right? And Indara flies in, she kind of like holds him down. Whatever she does to get Coral out of his head, it seems like it kills those witches.
I guess.
What do you
yeah.
What do you all think?
All of them,
they're
like
all
a light out.
So the Jedi, those 4 Jedi are now responsible potentially for eliminating
Sure.
every single person.
Now,
yeah.
if it was a choice to murder, that is enough shame and a violation of the Jedi Code to want to keep that a secret. She was saving Kelnacca.
Right.
Her
Yeah.
actions were justified.
We were talking before the show that I was expecting them to be chanting in that room, and for Indara to jump in behind them and just slice them up, and
I
that would
actually-
explain, like, again, making a choice, a difficult choice.
I would have preferred it if it was actually Torbin.
No, that yeah,
And
Torbin would be great,
Indara
too.
feels responsible because that is her Padawan.
Yeah,
and we've
yeah.
had beautiful moments in this episode of Indara being the voice of reason, showing like a real strong understanding of what it means to be a Jedi. And that was the most inspirational part of being a Jedi this whole series, because the rest of it is the undoing of what it means to be a Jedi.
Yeah.
But I wish that it was her feeling like she'd failed as a teacher because her student went fucking rogue
Yeah.
and decapitated or whatever all of these witches because he did get possessed and something switched and he went into murder mode.
Yeah, I think
and
him
she's
being-
like, this is on me.
Yeah.
I need to clean up my mess.
Right.
And that would have explained why Torbin went into his meditative state and then chose to unalive himself, then face the consequences, and would have made sense of why Indara needed to like absolutely say no one can know about what's happened.
Yeah.
Because she would have to be responsible for his actions. I just think that would have made more sense.
Yeah, I think it's because we didn't have time to go into it, that would have been a much better way to go about it than just, I want to go home, I want to go home. I think him, dabbling with like maybe some dark side, leaning into the dark side and not realizing it and then doing some heinous act, that would have been
Honestly,
great.
just curiosity, and that could
Yeah.
have come from boredom. But I think that if his mind was so malleable and Aniseya got in there and started to like use threads as a puppet,
thread.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
How cool would it? If you're going to bring threads in as a whole force, let it make sense as well. The threads that they used to make Torbin and manipulate him to do all these things and to make his mind snap.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I would getting back to your question, Evan. I was thinking of it more of it might be like a like a Matrix situation where when you're plugged in, if you die in your head, you die in real life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So because at first I was like, wait, are they trying to do like Phantom Menace where you just kill the one and then everyone else falls or something?
And I like this idea that they're using the thread, they're accessing the Force in a different way, and Indara doesn't necessarily understand it, and like she didn't intend to kill them all, but like her action does kill them all, and like I like all of that. And I think the toughest thing with the situation is a combination of everything, right? We know that. I think if earlier when we saw the events, if it didn't feel so muddy and we're like, well, we know that something weird happened here.
Something else
If
happened,
it had earnestly felt in episode 3 like, oh, these witches attacked the Jedi and killed them.
That
Or
would- yep.
we're trying to kill
Yep,
them, and
yep,
the Jedi barely got out, and they barely got Osha out. Instead, we watched all that happen, and we're like, okay, the Jedi did something messed up.
Obviously, that's not-
And it's
yeah.
like, it's been this slow walk to learn things that we already knew, right?
I
Yep.
really like
And
that.
Exactly.
But instead what we got was Sol seemingly being the good guy
Right.
who was level-headed this whole time, and then realizing that he actually wasn't. And
No, and
Yeah.
I like that too. Is that like Soul's a mess, but again, it's not communicated well, and we don't. Yeah, it's tough, and like
Yeah.
we have to buy that all of this happens in like a weird short amount of time. Where it's like, why couldn't the Jedi have been on this planet, have been talking to this coven
2 years.
for a long time, and like trying to make, and then this one bad night happens. And they have to make tough choices. They have to kill people that they've cared for. Like all this stuff happens in one night. That's better than like, oh, we just met this and we're so bad at being Jedi that this whole thing fell apart.
Yeah,
man.
just fell
Another
apart
way to
so
do that,
fast.
if Osha keeps seeking out Sol,
Yeah.
Yes.
you know,
It was weird that
Right,
it
and
was Sol
Saul's
that
and they're
kept
like,
pushing
Saul,
that.
you can't do it. He's like, I know, but this girl,
we're drawn.
She keeps
She
trying.
needs
and
me, she needs
yeah,
me.
if the Jedi's more like, not to bring in Star Trek, the Federation, where they're like, we can't mess with these,
Right.
this coven. Like,
Yeah.
we're watching them because we know they're doing something. We suspect they're accessing the Force. We need to make sure they're not becoming the Sith. We're just gonna stay back and we're gonna stay from afar. And Soul's the one that's like, no, we've got to get Osha out. Mae said sacrifice. Well, like
Yeah.
that kind of thing, and that almost makes more sense.
And I think it would have been more nuanced and interesting if he wasn't just solely focused on Osha. If it was really both of them, because then when he gets to the part where he's holding the thing, it's
And
like
has to make the choice.
It's like we knew what he was gonna do already. Again,
Right.
Like, there
We
was
know what
no
he's gonna
choice.
do. I did
thought it was
like
gonna be
that
a good son
revelation.
moment, but
Yeah, I did like the revelation that Soul was there the whole time and was holding up both, and ultimately was like, I have to make a choice, and he chose Osha, and now from that moment on, he's lived with that
Yeah.
and
Yes.
raised Osha as a Padawan, constantly lying to her. He doesn't know Mae's alive. And then when he does see Mae again for the first time in like episode 2, he's like, holy crap,
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
really screwed things up.
And my
Yeah.
past is going to
Yeah,
come
yeah,
back
yeah.
to confront me.
right,
Yes.
right.
So yeah, Soul ultimately decides to save Osha, unable to use the Force to hold up both ends of the bridge. And then they get her to the ship, and they wonder if they should face the Council. But it's Indara makes the decision that the 4 of them should lie, because after everything they went through, why did Soul make that choice to get a Padawan? So he's got a Padawan, everyone wins.
But then she gets evicted from the academy.
Yeah. Doesn't
Again,
even stay.
how does Torbin not get kicked out? But Osha does.
I just wanna
Torbin,
highlight-
literally the worst Padawan I've ever seen in my
Two
life.
things with this last little section of our
Okay.
recap. Number one, there's been discourse online about the use of the Force.
Mm-hmm.
It would take a lot more energy to hold up 2 constructs with the against gravity
Right.
than it would be to just Force pull the 2 girls. And we've seen Sol use Force pull and push
Sure.
a lot.
He's
So why not
panicking,
pull
a
them
lot's happening.
Yeah, I was actually okay with that part. It was more like the decisions of once we're there now.
Yeah,
Like,
he's just
again,
had to fight his own
It
guy.
wasn't even a choice. The title's called Choice.
Choice.
But
He's
we knew it wasn't a
tired.
choice. He already chose
Yeah, okay.
Osha.
And the
But
second
yeah.
thing, the way that Indara does a 180, she's perceived as the most level-headed, the in
And she's
charge
been working
of Jedi.
so hard to keep them all together.
That's it.
Oh
And
my
so
God.
for her to be like, listen, everything that we've done has a really great explanation behind it.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of unalived the entire Coven, but they took control of one of ours. And the only way that I could set him free, that was the response. I didn't know, like, the result. I didn't know that would happen. The council would understand.
Yeah, they totally would.
Hey, Torbin got really antsy and jumped the gun. Yeah, he's a Padawan, totally understand. So everything that they would have presented to the council has a very valid explanation. So the reason for her to then use honesty, use such a by the book with the Jedi codes, and then lie when it's not. Now, if she had the blood on her hands, or Torbin
did,
just absolutely did that, she's like, listen, I know that if I do the truth, Torbin's going to get...
And this is my team, I'm taking responsibility.
That's it. So we're going to lie. The fact that what actually happened wasn't as vicious or as shame-inducing or as like a violation of the codes as I thought it would be for that result didn't make sense for me. I wish Indara chose to use the truth in a way because there's nothing to cover up, and then used and said, but Osha can never know.
Right.
And just keep the truth from her.
Yeah.
So she's now isolated from the events, and then that causes her to be like, you lied to me, everyone else knew
There's
the
a
truth.
lot of
I was the
like
one."
lines that are missing, or like things to just to make A to B a little clearer, you know, whether it's something they're showing us something or telling us something. But
We shouldn't be here going...
I just thought, we shouldn't be playing Monday morning quarterback, totally explaining everything. But just right now, like the thing I didn't even think about till right now is Indara taking responsibility for her team, and great. But that wasn't even clear to me in the moment. I just thought of that right now.
She did kill all those witches.
Yeah, but she did it because they took over.
Sure.
And she didn't know.
And
that
she
was
didn't
gonna
understand
happen.
what
She
was
had
happening.
She
no
thought she was trying to
idea.
sever the connection.
Yeah, it is weird, and I wonder what they did tell the council and what Vinestra knows about the whole thing and all that. Maybe
Watch
I
Vanessa
actually-
knows the truth or something.
I wish
Yeah.
we got that in this
because it seems like
episode.
Vinestra is covering for them.
She's covering
also.
something for sure.
I think
But
that
must
we-
be with Kymer maybe.
I feel like episode 7, we got so much rehashing of what we already knew from
Right,
episode
right.
3.
Yeah.
They could have used a little bit more time for the aftermath. I wish we'd gone back to the council and we knew the fallout. We knew what was going to happen because all of a sudden, Indara's in the outer rim. Kelnacca's in a forest.
Yeah.
What was the consequence? Why did they end
been
up
a
there?
long
We
16
don't
years.
have that piece.
Yeah.
And I would have liked that missing piece of the consequences of their
Yeah.
actions.
Well, they kicked Torbin off the planet for using the phrase M count. Okay. Are there any moments that you really enjoyed this episode?
There
that you
actually
wanna highlight?
were.
There were a
I
lot,
know that
actually.
I've got notes.
Yeah.
But I really liked a
Yeah.
lot
I
of
really
this
liked
episode.
a lot of it too. Well, just Kelnacca lightsaber, Wookiee lightsaber. I was
Yes.
like, finally,
Lightsaber's fine.
and they nailed it. Like, I was like, that was so great. And you know, if this show, I said this on social media earlier, I was like, if this show flops next week and the finale is horrible, I still will be so thankful for the Acolyte for giving us some of the best Jedi lightsaber action that will sustain me for the next 10 years if we don't get anything else like this. So that was really cool. I love that fight. Yeah.
Jodie Turner-Smith.
Oh, yeah.
What a standout.
Yeah.
She elevated this episode.
I
and
wanted
every
more
moment with her.
Mother Aniseya in the show.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
The
I'm
fact-
loving Kyman, don't get me wrong. Manny Jacinto is doing a great job.
Great
on the
job.
show. But yeah, if this show could have just been Kymer, Indara, and Mother Aniseya, I think I'd be all right.
They're like
Right?
three
You know what I mean?
absolute
Yes, they're the
favorites.
three
They're
tops.
Like
yeah.
Mother
And I wish they
Aniseya is
had
such an
more.
interesting character, and this Coven is interesting, and it's like, oh, we're not going to get more of this Coven.
But
at
like,
all.
don't introduce threads and tap into this incredible
Yeah.
power without us showing why or what it is or
Yeah.
exploring it more. But yeah, our biggest heavy hitter actors have had the least screen time, I feel.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah. I don't know.
How about you, Brian? What was your favorite part?
You know, as someone who read the High Republic novels, kind of talking anytime there's like a little reference
that
to it, I
shout
get a
out?
little
Yeah,
excited,
yeah.
and them talking about kind of the great hyperspace disaster as to
cool.
why Brendock didn't have life on it. Now we had a little argument in Slack this morning about what exactly happened to the planet, but that if you don't know, we'll talk about it later this episode. Well, it's a little
now we need
confusing.
to
Yeah,
know.
now we need to.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that. But we want to thank some of our sponsors before we get to our big questions today. We want to thank One Shot Energy Chews. They are a healthy and convenient energy boosting supplement candy for everybody. They make energy chews, focus chews, and voice drops for when your throat needs a little TLC. We have these around the office. These are like the focus chews.
Ooh.
Idiot?
Eat it.
Oh, eat it. No, because then I won't be able to talk.
Can you imagine if I just yelled at you like that? I would never.
Just reminded me of my childhood.
I'm so
You didn't get
sorry.
third, Brandon? Oh.
See, now you can slaughter all of us, and that would be like a good you know what I mean? That would make more
Maude
sense.
was in my head.
Yeah.
She was in my head.
Fortify your mind. Fortify your mind.
The focus shoes, they give you a little bit of focus. They don't have any caffeine inside of them. Just kind of, if you're feeling like, oh, I can't get my head straight, a little bit of that. Now, the energy shoes, they got a little kick in there. They got 75 milligrams of caffeine.
Woo.
Give you a boost, and it kicks in as you chew it. And then they also have their voice drops, which are helpful if you have a job where you talk a lot, or you just talk a lot at your job, even though everyone tells you to stop talking so much. They're great. The yuzu drops are yuzu flavored with marshmallow, honey, and peppermint. And they give you a nice little hug on your throat to make you talk better. Make me talk better, please. All of One Shot Energy's products are plant-based and naturally sweetened without a bunch of fillers and chemicals. Get started today with One Shot Energy by going to oneshotenergy.com/newrockstars for 10% off your order. Again, that's oneshotenergy.com/newrockstars for 10% off your order. Check them out. They're really great. Thanks for sponsoring the show, One Shot. I took several One Shots yesterday. Got a lot to do yesterday. A lot to do, and I feel great about it. We also want to remind you to check out nerdriot.shop, where right now you can get our Deadpool and Wolverine gear. We've got a great new Choose Your Fighter shirt, which has a lot of fun little Easter eggs on it.
Oh,
there.
I love
some of the cameos we think we might
badass.
get. A little reminiscent
Marvel
of the
vs.
old fighting
Capcom
games.
match.
I love it. Oh my god.
We got Star Wars shirts on there. This is a fun shirt with a bunch of helmets on it. Other Star Wars merch on there. We got House of the Dragon merch.
I don't know if they have this.
Tom's wearing a classic.
Yeah.
This is like
Might be the OG
limited
one.
edition. This was the first
is the
of
way.
a line. This was when the first The Mandalorian came out.
Yeah.
Hey, remember The Mandalorian? Hey, picking up some merch is the best way to support all 3 channels on the new Rockstars network. So do that today. Head on over to nerdriot.shop.
No, put the link up, you coward. Do it.
Let's get into some of our main questions from this episode. Let's talk more about Mother Aniseya and what she was going to do there. So we saw Coral fully do the similar dust move to possibly take over Kelnacca, but we didn't see her her body afterwards.
No.
It kind of just became dust.
And she wasn't in the room with them afterwards.
Nope.
Right,
Doing
and that was
yeah.
like a point, I think after episode 3, people were like, oh, Coral's missing, maybe she's the one
She's
who's
a stranger.
the master
Yeah,
or whatever. But no, that was not the case. She couldn't get her arms big enough.
We needed the body in this instance.
We needed the body.
You know, let's tie things up.
What do you think Mother Aniseya was ultimately doing there? Because we got a quick shot when she's becoming dust. Mae was also kind of becoming dust. So you think she was trying to take Mae out of there? Like that was her whole goal, and then Sol was just thinking it's Osha. It's like, oh no, she's killing Osha. She's taking Osha away.
Yeah, we were talking
I gotta
about
stab the dust
before the show, but yeah, I think she was in Harry Potter apparating, teleporting and taking me
Okay.
out of this dangerous situation because battle's about to happen. But because it's so menacing and black smoke and her eyes went black and her jaw opened like a horror movie,
doesn't look like
our soul would've
friendly
been
magic.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. If it was some
was
nice
pink.
perfect circle,
Right.
and she stepped into a portal,
She was making a bubble like Glinda.
Yeah, if you're making a bubble, exactly.
You don't get stabbed.
popular. Yeah.
I will say the fact that we have to ask is not a good
Not
sign.
a good
Correct.
sign. Not a good sign.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
But again, if we just had that line of dialogue of let her go.
Yeah.
Or maybe Torbin's eyes started going black and he's
Right.
like, no, it's happening again.
Maybe Mae saying, ow.
What do you
Yeah.
think she was doing with Torbin? Was she just
Mind
scaring
fuck.
him? Was she trying to get them? Was she just he's the weakest.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see what's inside of his head. Oh, I see what his weakness is. He's trying to get them out of here, so I'm just gonna encourage that. But it all just looks scary, so everyone got scared.
Oh yeah, maybe. And not to dodge your question, but then what was Kelnacca's? How did they get into his head? They probably had a question of what does he really want, and that's how they were able to break into his mind, which would have been really
That
cool
would have
too.
been nice
I would
to
have loved to
have
see that scene, and then
Yeah.
for them to be in Kelnacca's mind, and then for Mother Aniseya to be like,
Well, and
then
Kelnacca
the
we
talking
saw
monkey,
was
yeah.
very permanently scarred, right?
Yeah.
He's in his hut drawing.
drawing their logo.
Can
and,
as a Star Wars fan, I know
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like this whole time, but as a Star Wars fan, seeing Kelnacca slice,
That was so cool.
Good. That was
Yeah,
so
yeah.
good. I got the E over that. That was
Yeah.
great.
Right,
you don't
right.
see enough.
Slice that.
Yeah, because usually it's just droids onwards, but
Right.
like it can be a person's skill.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so the fact
Very,
that Cal-
very video game using the term
Yeah,
slice.
Oh,
Slice
so
that
good.
panel.
For
So
fans
good.
of Knights of
And
the Old
Star Wars
Republic.
tabletop game.
Yeah, yeah.
Slicing is a skill that you can use.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. But you're right. If we're asking the question, they didn't do a good enough job in the execution.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she was just trying to get, like, I don't know what the ultimate goal of this coven is, right? And whether their magic or their use of the thread is dangerous or has nefarious purpose or not, it's not really clear. It seems like they just want to live, thrive, survive. They want to do their magic their own way, keep the men out. God
Well,
bless them for that.
I was-
Keep the kids out. God bless them for that.
I was going to say, with Aniseya choosing Torbin's mind to infiltrate, it could have been one of two things, which I wish, take a pick. It could have been he was the weakest because he was youngest and he was a Padawan, so he hadn't learned to fortify his mind as much. Or it could be that any man within the coven was an
Right.
easy target.
Yeah.
That would have explained Kelnacca
Yeah.
and Torbin, and I wish Sol thought that maybe he was next or something like that.
Yeah.
But Indara was like,
I just
Which
thought-
again, if they'd had more time on the planet interacting with this coven, like
Yeah.
more time.
instead of covering ground
Yeah.
they've already done.
Yeah.
Right. And if it was just like, yeah, we've been studying them for 7 weeks and like we've been trying to interact, but they're being really cagey. We're worried about these girls. We heard the word sacrifice.
Yep.
There's no other kids around and we're worried they're going to use these girls for some nefarious purpose.
I just thought of this idea. What if another just theory? What if they talk about the twins being a split consciousness, but what if they're parts of Mother Aniseya and she was
They're Horcruxes?
reabsorbing? Yeah, they're Horcruxes.
Yeah,
She was
yeah, let's go.
reabsorbing, Mae at that point.
Yeah.
To protect her or get more powerful, and then she would need to get Osha.
never know.
Love that.
That would have been cool.
We'll never know.
We'll never know. They're underutilized completely. And the fact that we can sit here and just come up with ideas where we're like, that's great.
Maybe they're
Yeah.
saving it for season 2, man.
Maybe they're
If we
saving
get a
it for
season two.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's our next question?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. What are the consequences of a vergence? Do you think creating Osha and Mae? Like, what's the significance of them being potentially the same person split in two?
I think it's very interesting
They
to
choose not
have,
to go.
we're again the time that this is set. They bring up the great hyperspace disaster, which was like kind of 100 years before that, before right now, and this is a time in the High Republic when they're still, 100 years before this, they were still kind of mapping the Outer Rim. Like that was still very new. They're just setting up these like temples on like Outer Rim planets. They're exploring hyperspace lanes. They've just kind of nailed down that technology. Bacta's new, all that kind of stuff. So it's 100 years from now. They're still. We know that from the Phantom Menace, right? That a vergence is a big deal.
Yes.
There is this prophecy, and presumably I don't know when the prophecy.
That's true.
came
I never
about.
thought of that. It must be older than.
It must
the
be something
show.
that's always kind of sitting around with the Jedi, that we're looking for this balance.
The
thing.
one.
Yeah.
And we have a feeling that a vergence is a great way to find that. So as they continue to map the Outer Rim and these kind of like loose planets, they're looking for these vergences. They have Brendock. This is a planet that presumably was damaged during the Great Hyperspace Disaster. That's where a ship in hyperspace, a big ship, broke apart, and pieces of it would just randomly come out of hyperspace, slam into planets, destroy, kill billions of people, like that kind of stuff. And there was a while where this was just happening, and they couldn't predict it. They didn't know it was going to happen. Presumably, Brendock is one of these planets. It gets hit, kills all the life on it. And in that 100-year sense, a lot of life has come back because there's a vergence on this planet. It's kind of creating this life. Very interesting. They're hunting these things down. They want to find them. So I kind of like that idea of the vergence. It's like, this is why we're here. We know there's something important here. Now, did the Jedi send the 4 best Jedi they could have to this planet? No, they did not.
I was waiting for a scene of, instead of the metal detector,
Yeah.
for him to be holding a huge comb like Spaceballs, and,
Yeah.
and for Kanaka to be like, "We didn't find shit." Like we're like,
Right.
I just had a thought, which would explain why Indara and Torbin and everyone was like, sent isolated. They could have been searching for more vergence anomalies.
Sure.
And that's why they were like sentenced, isolated,
Yeah. And I like all of that. And then the idea that they're here and they've discovered these kids And maybe a line of dialogue about like, is this a prophecy? Would have been helpful.
Yeah,
And
to
that
kind of tie it in even more.
Well, that would have really planted Sol's sort of focus
Right.
and
where he's like, I'm
obsession.
feeling this
Obsession,
pull.
yeah.
This could be it. You know what I mean? Because there is a lot of like mapping of Anakin's story, right?
Yeah.
Too old to go to training, very powerful.
Too much attachment.
Yeah, created seemingly out of nowhere.
Right,
like there is so much, and it's like the fact that they don't mention the prophecy is like, okay, well, I think that maybe that's on the nose, but
Yeah, I would have loved
that's
that.
a good
Yeah,
on
I
the
would've
nose
loved
moment to make, right?
Yeah.
I actually think that would explain Sol's behavior
Yeah.
and give him that drive that we needed for his character to make sense. Yeah.
Because we buy it for Qui-Gon, and we buy it for Qui-Gon Jinn and Phantom Menace because we know who Anakin is, and
Right, right.
it makes sense. But if you had been told that story, it might seem a little. And again, even at the time, to audiences, it was like, this is crazy. This doesn't make sense. And that's what a lot of Star Wars is.
You know, and I
it
love-
doesn't make sense, and then 20 years later, you're like, we love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that idea about what that being the significance of what that vergence is. What I'm afraid of is that there's a behind the scenes reason, which is how do we explain somehow Palpatine returned? And, you know what I mean? And we're placing all these pieces together because it needs to make sense.
Plot armor.
And like 200 years.
Like, I don't
or
want them to
whatever.
be clones. I don't want
Right.
that.
I don't want that.
It's
but
too early for that nonsense.
So I'm hoping it's what you're saying and not what I'm saying, which is how do we make how do we reverse engineer that, you know?
I feel like the timeline that we're getting from Star Wars, though, is that cloning is technology, right? They're advanced in technology enough for cloning to happen. Here, we're looking at nature. We're looking at life force. So it's like, it makes sense on that
Force
timeline.
cloning versus like what they did on Kamino.
Like the most famous kind of vergence in Star Wars, besides like Anakin, right, is the cave on Dagobah, which is more of like it's very Sith powered. It's a dark force energy. And that's the cave that Luke goes into. He has the vision of Darth. He cuts his head up. We all know. We've all been there.
We've seen the thing.
I would, again, I don't know if they're going to explain how Osha and Mae came to be, but it would be very interesting if it was just a random kid who's like force sensitive, wanders into a vergence or is taken by Mother Aniseya into this vergence and is like physically split into two.
That would be so
Like
when
that's
they did
and
Ascension,
that split like kind of wipes both of their memories, and they think that they're individuals people now, and they always have been.
What? So
Born
let's
as
say
one, but always two, right? What was that? Something.
I make you, you make me.
Yeah.
One is one and two is three.
Three, yeah,
I
that's
don't
it,
know.
that's
No,
it,
no,
yeah.
no.
would let's say episode 3 when we kind of get the
Yeah, yeah.
backstory, would that have been like during the Ascension that they split, and then they had their own?
I think I think they were split beforehand.
Yeah, maybe there was a descension.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And then later the ascension is the second half of the. But we didn't see the
Because the line between Coral and Aniseya of like I brought them into this. I brought
And
them
then I
into this
created
world. I
them.
created them. It's
Yeah.
still very weird.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to discover that like it's not like they started as twins as babies, but like a physical child was split in
Yeah,
two.
yeah.
That's why I was
So
wondering
force
if like
powerful.
Mother Aniseya used the Force to
Thread.
impregnate
Yeah.
Coral and split the light.
We
and the
still
dark
don't know
or
where
something,
the
yeah.
vergence is or what it is.
Right, or how to use it.
Because sometimes a vergence can be an object, sometimes it can be a location.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, because I believe Luke's lightsaber is like a vergence because it's so
I
strong
don't
in the Force or
That's
something
why
like that.
Ray had the
I think that's helps.
flashbacks.
Yeah, when she
Yeah,
touches
okay.
it or whatever.
Okay.
You know, vergences, they're all over the place.
Could be in the grass they were collecting.
Yeah,
on
the
Brendock.
Mortis is like a vergence.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Where I was looking at the Wikipedia this morning, like where Yoda goes to at the wellspring of life, like that's a vergence. They exist throughout the galaxy. They're all over the place. They're all over the place.
Octo has that vergence then with
Oh,
the
yeah,
cave
the-
and
Yes,
hole where
I believe
they went into?
Octo
Okay.
is like a
That was
vergence.
one
All
too.
of that. So they exist all over the place.
Got it.
I don't know if we're gonna learn more about it in this last episode.
It's something that's everywhere, and it's such
Right.
a catalyst for so much power. It's surprising that we don't know enough about it.
Right. And it's like if the show wants to explore those ideas, it's like, yes, stick with those ideas and like tell us more about that.
Okay.
I don't know.
What other questions have we got? This is fun.
I guess some from Twitch really quick.
Yeah.
Snowden 94, were those animals also created from the Force? That's probably
That's
why-
that was kind of the discussion we were having
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Slack this morning because like, the line of dialogue is kind of like this planet, because of the hyperspace disaster, this planet was mapped and seen to not have life on it. I'm butchering the line a little bit, but it's like, there's two categories here. One, during the hyperspace disaster, an emergence happened to that planet, hit it, killed all life on it. And since then, they assumed there was no life on it, but now they've seen life, so they've come back.
I'm using like the meteors wiped out the dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Or
Yeah.
the other theory is when that happened, when the when the great disaster happened, there was this guy like Kevin Tarr. He puts together a bunch of nav droids because they're trying to figure out where the emergencies are going to happen because they have objects in hyperspace.
Vergences?
Emergences.
Okay,
Very
what?
confusing. They have objects this ship has broken up in hyperspace and it's coming out at random times in random locations.
Got it.
Days later, weeks later. And they don't know how long it's going to last for. So this guy tries to map out where he thinks they're going to happen and what planets are most dangerous. And part of that is like scanning the outer rim and determining kind of quickly, hey, this planet, there's no life on it. Who cares if it gets hit? We don't need to watch it. But these planets do. So it's either that planet was hit and life was wiped out, or when they did this mapping 100 years ago, they were like, there's nothing on this planet, don't worry about it.
I feel like that's what it was trying to lean towards.
Yeah, I don't know. And we don't know. Because
what's the
like
definition of life?
obviously
Yeah,
there was
trees,
life on this planet. They
plants?
built
Fairies?
mines.
Yeah.
They built mines. Yeah, there's trees, there's
so
there's
what-
animals.
There's like flora, fauna.
So I think
yeah,
what
yeah.
the show is trying to say is that yes, the planet was hit. It killed whatever life was there, but now look at these trees. They're more than 100. They're growing so fast because of this vergence.
Abundance of life force.
It is. There's
Yeah.
abundance of life on this planet
Okay.
that there shouldn't be this much advanced life already.
Let's kill it and eat
But
it.
all of that structure was there before 100 years ago. Like it was there pre
Sure,
the
sure.
disaster.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's some like relic-y looking sort of stones.
Right, and there are
Yeah.
relics
They're
there,
posted up
so
on
it's
it,
like, yeah, there was stuff, it was destroyed
Okay,
in the
great.
disaster. But maybe that's not what they're saying. Maybe they were saying we didn't think there was life, but there was.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And then one more kind of on the dust and everything, and Assassin Peach 77 asking, do you think
Happy
when the
birthday.
mother was about to take Mae away, do you think that would have also taken away Osha?
Oh, I think she was literally gonna leave Osha there. She was like, because Osha
Mother
also
Aniseya?
did not finish the Ascension.
That's true.
She never
And
got
her
stamped.
dying words were.
Yeah.
Oh, she wanted to stay anyway.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
well,
let
she's
her
saying
go.
that. Maybe she just wanted to make Soul feel bad.
I don't know.
Oh, I was gonna let her stay. Oh, look at you, you jerk.
I kind of feel like.
No, I believe her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
was like, all of
Because
this.
she was ready to fight all the other witches about it. They were like, you can't let her
Yeah.
stay.
She
She's
was
like,
like to be a
that's her wish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually genuinely
Yeah.
think she's like, none of this was necessary.
Yeah.
Like, Osha wanted to go, and I was going to let her go with you. But that's why she would have only taken Mae and not Osha, maybe?
Would
Yeah, I
have been
think
funny.
she
Yeah,
would've
she
left
took
Osha.
Mae away, and then Osha's left with all the other witches who don't want her to go. Yeah.
Right.
That would have been funny.
And on the topic there, IL, also thank you for subbing, IL, saying, Mother Aniseya accurately predicted the downfall of the Jedi. Do you think she foreseen it or foresaw it, or was she
Do
cursing
you remember
them?
what she said?
She
exactly?
said, yeah, the values that you all hold will lead to the death of all of the Jedi.
Yeah, I don't think you need to be a psychic to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I think-
systems
That's
of
probably the most heavy-handed messaging we've had in this whole
Yeah,
series.
where
'Cause
it's
they-
like the Jedi are not perfect, and they never were, and what they're doing now is just proving
Right.
it. And
'Cause
whether
they've been on the
today
run, right?
Or 100 years from now, yeah, exactly. The Jedi, you're gonna be the cause of your own demise, which is
Yeah.
what we see in the prequel.
And I think it's a little bit of both too. Like I think she was very in tune with the thread. The
Oh, that's
Force,
right.
And she could see that
she
like you
thinks
guys are
her way is
messing
the
with
right
it.
way. Yeah.
Yeah,
In
you guys are
mythology.
blind to what's growing behind. You guys are really killing us witches. Chimeras running around out there. You don't even see it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Yeah.
And you're gonna
Like,
try to
you
cover
don't
it up,
know.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish, there was more of an emphasis on threads kind of like weaving into fate.
Right.
And
That
like
would
the
be cool.
prophecy would have been, yeah.
Cool. I even like the thread puppet thing you brought up. I was like, that's such a cool idea.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about
Yeah.
this generator?
I want to talk about this generator, guys. Man, I'm mad about
For
this
the
generator.
record, when Brandon brought it up, I was like, man, I never thought that there was significance to
'Cause it
this
seemed
generator.
weird. I mean-
and then when it happened, I was like, oh, Brandon's gonna be so mad.
In episode 3, we hear the noise and like
Yeah.
Coral runs
And they
over,
keep
and
showing
I
it.
thought
Yeah,
she was
yeah.
like concerned about this generator thing, and it was Soul was running around back behind it.
Oh!
That's why she was so concerned about it, because that's where the noise was.
Yes.
But it's also like,
It was a moment of this small flame to lick up into the generator.
Yes.
We've seen this in Star Wars almost every
Right.
time. If you hit the sweet spot of the big thing, it will
Yeah,
go
yeah,
All
bamboo.
blow up. Yeah.
Yeah.
like one line of like, this thing is powering this whole place. We got to make sure it stays up. You know what I mean?
That's it. Or just
Every
like-
lamp in this place is connected to this
Yeah.
generator. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Or like a little window outside of Osha Osha's room and be like, don't put any fire or
Right.
missiles down this one tunnel because
Yeah.
it'll travel all the way to the central hub. Just FYI.
I know it sounds like a design flaw,
Yeah,
but
listen,
trust
we're-
me.
This
When
place
we-
was built by Galen Urso.
Yeah,
FYI.
we didn't hire a guy to build this place. We actually kidnapped him from his family. I hope it didn't piss him off.
Forced him to do it. Seems happy about it.
And like, because I thought this joke might do something, or like explain why the fire got
Yeah.
so big, or anything like that. We also still don't know why Kymir even gives two craps about these witches, because it doesn't seem like he knew what was going on here at all.
We're not part of it, but he knows about the power of two.
Like, yeah, why does he want these four Jedi dead so
If
bad?
he also knew about that prophecy, that would explain his motivation.
Right, yeah, if he knew there was a vergence there.
One more Etmon, maybe.
Or if he knew that these girls-
Maybe he was behind the other tree that Saul was behind. It's like, what's
Right.
going on over there? Who's this guy staring at
Like
me?
last episode, when we spent so much time with Kymir in the pool and like barely and talking to Osha, if there was a line last episode like, you don't even know what you are. Like,
Yeah.
you're more than just yourself. Like, you're only half of yourself or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, and if it was Kymir realizes the value of this person who was split in two, and if I can get you two back together, like, I could have so much power, something like that.
Would have been a great
I just
line.
realized this episode was probably a little bit weaker because Kymir wasn't in it. And we all
Yes.
know that Kymir's arms is what's holding up this show.
Right.
Yeah, with the,
And that's why they're so big.
and that's why they're so big, because he's
a lot of weight.
doing a lot of heavy
A lot of
lifting.
ways gonna carry on the show. What about this relationship between Indara and Sol? Because I found this interesting. Okay, was Indara's Sol master at one point? Do you think?
That needed just one
Just
line of
senior.
dialogue. Let us know.
I think just maybe a senior Jedi,
Yeah.
or she's like in charge of the mission, so he has to defer to her and take her orders, right?
Feels like she advanced faster.
I take it he's a master. She's a knight. Is the way I interpreted it.
I thought
He's
that
not a
she-
master.
I thought it was
he's
the
a
other way
knight.
around.
He's a
Yeah,
knight.
she's
She's
a
a
master.
master.
That's why
She's
she's
got
in
a
charge.
Padawan.
She's got a Padawan.
Yes.
And he's just a Jedi Knight, so this is more sort of what Obi-Wan was in
Obi-Wan was still a knight.
Clone Wars.
Yes, because he was still a knight who had a Padawan. Because a knight can have a Padawan.
Well, that was supposed to be Qui-Gon's.
Right.
He died.
But he wasn't a master because he never made it to master, right?
Wait,
Obi-Wan
or
never
did
made
they?
it to
No,
master.
because didn't they say Obi-Wan was ready for the trial? So I intuited
He was
that
still a
after
Padawan in Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
He became a master, then took Anakin.
They
immediately.
jumped him
Yeah.
from knight to master?
Well, because
Or
he was
from Padawan straight to master?
Because according to the Qui-Gon and
His dying
Obi-Wan at the
wish.
meeting, he was like, "I'm ready for the trials. I'm ready." For
Right,
the
but you
trials."
don't go straight from Padawan to master.
In
You
this
gotta
Oh
go
yeah,
Right.
you're
to
sorry.
knight.
Sorry, I see what you're
He
saying.
is.
Sorry, yes, you're right.
Because he was there with Anakin and it was Qui-Gon's dying wish for someone
It's kind of
to-
like how when I renewed my license, I didn't have to retake my driving test. Because it was COVID, it was like a whole thing.
No, it would be like you had your learner's permit and they said, you know what, here's your class E, you can drive a semi now.
Yeah, now you're driving.
That's
a
what it
train.
would be like.
Yeah, but only because like he got given a truck and it's like, well, someone has to drive it, you know?
Obi-Wan
And I
wasn't a
promised I'd give
master,
him my
was he?
truck.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
Am I
that's it.
crazy?
I promised I'd give him the truck.
I'm getting yelled at in the chat.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
He had to been a knight. You can't go straight from Padawan to master. I won't allow it.
Well,
the
they get up with
exception, not
Yoda.
the rule.
I won't allow it.
Yeah. So, but I think Indara was the master and Sol was the knight.
Yes.
Yeah.
But was Indara's ever Sol?
I don't think
Sol
so.
was not
I
a
don't think so.
Padawan. Okay,
Yeah,
that's fair.
I don't
that's
think
fair.
so.
Okay.
One
I like
thing
it.
about Indara that I wanted to ask your opinion about, KP Dubs brought up, did the council say no? We only have Indara's word. We never saw
That's
it.
I
last
found
ep-
that line
The last
interesting.
ep is gonna be all Indara's point of
Because
view.
Indara
of the
did not want
same
these girls. Indara did not want these girls at all, right? She was like,
Yeah, Indara
I'm
was
doing
no the
this
whole
test,
time.
but I don't even have the camera on.
I feel so bad for her the whole time. She's like, Torbin, stop. Sol,
Yes.
stop. Torbin, stop. Kelnacca,
She's like, I
keep
just need to
searching
get
over
everyone
there.
out of here
Everybody,
clean.
yeah.
Can we please take on these two? It seems like they've got a lot of M count. It could be, no, got it. Say less. Well,
Yeah.
sorry.
Because didn't
no.
she be like, everyone get off the ship while I make this call? Or something like that.
that's
Remember, she
right.
sent them all away while I wait for them to get
I
back.
think you're giving it too much.
That would be cool. We'll see.
Because she didn't want these girls. She was like, nice job, Sol. You
Good
cheated
lie.
to get
Good
these
lie.
girls
Well,
in here.
she was also being like, you're
Yeah.
projecting.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
You want this too bad, and you're muddling your feelings. Detach more.
Because, again, there's a great kind of storyline in the High Republic novels about a Jedi master. I believe he's a master. He might still be a knight. Here we go.
Not your.
A character
Sorry,
named Elzar Mann, who very cool character, who like during a big battle, he's kind of been having a crisis of faith throughout the story. He does a move. He's got to save people, but he does a very dark side move.
Oh, yeah,
and all the Jedi there are like, "What, dude?" And even like non-Jedi are like, "What, dude?" you can't do that. That's cheating,
I
right?
wish we had that with
But
Sol.
instead of kicking him out.
And immediately he has to like go to his buddy and be
Yeah.
like, look, I just fucked up big time. Like, can you watch me? Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, if we had more of that from Sol, where it was like,
Yeah.
And Indara at the end.
yes, if this whole series was more like about the calls from inside the house, where it's a Jedi and their Padawan struggling with like dark sideness.
Yeah.
And they don't want the council to know, and they don't want anyone else to know. What do we think Vinestra knows about the truth of this whole situation, right? Because she seems like she's very much trying to keep this isolated from the council. And it seems like she knows more than any other Jedi know about the
I hate
situation.
to say it, the fact that Indara's like, we're gonna lie to the council.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense and doesn't actually help the episode. I wish
Right.
it was, we're gonna tell the council the truth.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep it from Osha, so we all must collectively decide to lie to her. So that's
Yeah.
her catalyst of her dark side arc. And I wish Indara has told Vinestra, so now Vinestra has to keep trying to sweep it under
Yeah,
the
if it
rug.
was like Indara being like, look, we barely got out of there.
Here's the truth.
We really screwed up.
Yeah.
We need to come clean. They go to Vinestra, who's like a representative. She's like, before we have this council meeting, what are you gonna throw at our feet here?
Yeah.
She lays it out, and Vinestra's like, nah, you know what, I'll handle this.
Because
I
again,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
a chain of order. Well,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
decision's going to reflect poorly upon me.
And then it's like a decision where Vinestra was like, you know what, you guys really screwed up. You're going here, you're going here, you're going here. So you're staying
And we
on
never
campus,
talk
so
of
I can
this
keep an eye.
again.
We're
We're
never
never gonna
talking.
bring it
You're
up.
gonna raise Sol. You're gonna raise Osha up. You're never gonna tell her what happened. You're gonna make sure, blah blah blah.
What even
and
like,
then
hey, you can get into people's minds.
Yeah.
So get into your own and
Yeah,
wipe
yeah.
this memory clean.
You know, I think that this episode kind of wrapped that all too neatly in a bow in terms of Indara making the decision to
Yeah.
like let's keep this a secret. So I think that what they're setting up is Vernestra's secret is something completely different. It has to do with Chimera. It has to do with the
Right.
Sith.
But
It has to do with
Yeah, it's too many mysteries,
because then-
right? Like
yeah.
if these two things don't connect at all, like
if we flash
the only
back to
connection
this
was
thing again, I'm gonna laugh.
if the only
so hard.
connection was like Mae going around the galaxy, being angry, trying to get revenge on Jedi, at some point hooks up with Chimera, and Chimera's like, oh, you've got Force, I can exploit that.
But Mae should only be mad at Sol. Really? I know that Indara...
She saw Sol,
She saw
yeah.
Sol
but like,
kill
Sol
her.
killed her mum.
Right.
Sol did
But I guess she blames all four of these Jedi. Yeah. She blames all
Yeah.
four of them for what happens.
Yeah, Kelnacca sliced to get them in. Yeah, so he
Yeah.
deserves to die. Yeah.
You gotta kill the hacker,
You gotta kill
right?
the hacker.
Before we say goodbye today, who was your A-list alien for this character? We often talk about the main characters on these Star Wars shows, but were there any surprise side characters that really got you
We got to
excited?
give it to Kelnacca and this.
Kelnacca?
Yeah, he for
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we got to see a Wookiee with a lightsaber, and honestly, like studying and seeing everyone's lightsaber technique, and then a
Yeah,
7-foot something Wookiee coming in
Oh my
with
God.
pure power,
Just muscle.
just how that
He almost
like,
didn't even need the saber. He was just mowing
yeah.
that
along
was
with
just
it. Oh
like
my
that was
God.
so beautiful. So yes,
Yeah, yeah.
all my
There was a
love
great shot of Sol jumping over his swing
Oh,
and
that
his
was
robe.
cool.
Like,
And then he
that was
turned it off
very,
so
like,
he wouldn't
yeah,
hit him,
yeah.
and then punched him with it.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
Badass.
cool.
I love all the hand-to-hand Jedi stuff.
Oh,
like,
so
when
good.
Indara and
just being
Sol are like
defensive
so good.
only.
slap fighting on the ship. It was so cute. I loved
it.
it.
So good.
I like
think a
that,
special
great.
shout out to Coral. Well, she's finally getting
Yeah.
her moment where she's
Yeah, she got to do some fighting.
and was
Yeah.
like, yeah.
And then slice off the top of the spear.
Yeah,
What are you gonna do?
right. She's like, no.
Just that was great.
Cut my
Yeah, and then
spear.
she's like, use that hate,
But I
let it
get-
flow through you.
I hate to bring it up though,
Yeah.
but Sol is so sort of like playing the defense and not offensively
Right.
at all. He's trying to minimize everything.
Yeah.
But he's already killed and
I
stabbed.
know,
Well,
that was
I think he's like immediately.
He's like
regret this
overcorrecting.
decision.
He's like
Yeah,
overcorrecting.
he's all like, I shouldn't have done that.
But
Now
then
I'm just gonna.
to have him be like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's me with every fight I've ever had with my wife. I'm sorry, please. I'm sorry, please. I shouldn't have said it.
She's like, fight me, fight me.
I give my props to the chorus of witches, just like.
Oh yeah.
wow.
Power of
Great,
many.
great. I know people like gripe on the witches in this, but I like all that stuff, and I
Oh,
want
yeah.
more of that weird magic stuff.
That's cool.
I think
That's
I would be
fun.
okay with not knowing any more about them if because think about like Heath Ledger, the Joker, the Dark Knight. I mean, we don't know anything about him, but his character's so strong and the writing's so good, it
Right.
doesn't matter. So if the writing was stronger and the characterization was better, I wouldn't even care about like what is that smoke? What is
Now-
this? It doesn't matter. But
This
We're
is
not
important, commenters. Tom has been championing this show from the start, and he too is just critiquing the
Right.
writing and execution.
there's a
of the
lot
show.
to love about the show, but I've said it from the beginning, it is not perfect. So
No.
and I'll stand by that
And
still.
that's okay. We
Yeah.
can still enjoy it if
We
it's
can.
not perfect.
And if you don't like it, that's okay too. I'm sorry, I wish you did.
And
And if
if
you love
you-
it, I'm so happy for
If you love it, I love
Yeah.
that you love it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to yuck anyone's yum. I'm just saying, what if things change? We would
Mm-hmm.
have had something a little better. That's it.
And if you're here and you've never even watched the show before, you've made it this far, God bless you.
You're the
Thank you.
Kelnacca of
Thank
the
you for
show.
for joining us.
Well, that's it for us today. Make sure to subscribe to the Breakroom channel right here on YouTube and give us a follow on Twitch where we do videos like this live, like we're doing right now.
Now.
Maude, where can the fine folks find you on the internet?
If you would like to say nice things, I swear I'm not a horrible person.
She is not. How dare you, internet?
Maude Garrett on all social medias. If you want a sci-fi fantasy book club, please consider joining Maude's book club. We do 1 to 2 books every single month. If you're trying to read more books, then that's literally my goal. I'm trying to help you do that. So join.
God bless you.
Yay.
Come join the dark side.
Oh, wow. What a pitch. Tom, where can they find you on the internet?
Find me on Tom on the Mic and fortify your minds from all the evil out there. We can talk about a show that is not perfect without being without going fully to the dark side.
Yeah, this show needs a good fortify your mind line.
A lot,
Yeah.
a lot of
Needs a
fortify
good fortify your mind line. That would have been great. Okay.
Where are you at? Where are you at online, buddy?
I don't exist on the internet.
He's off the grid.
You weren't even here at all.
You never
the
even saw
witches.
me. We'll catch you next time. Late as gay is. Goodbye.
May the force be with you.